meaning like your audio is heard from your microphone from another device.
Ah. Is that what's happening? Oh, that's better. No, it's not. Oh, well, I'm going to have to put up with it. Okay.
If you've got another device, Sharon, that's like you can hear yourself on, you just got to turn it down to like mute it literally, and that should stop the feedback, I believe.
Okay. I'll try to mute maybe this mic here. I wonder if it's that. Not quite sure. Bloody technology. Just wondering how I can get my background. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. It's going to have to be without. That's okay. That's all right. Let's do it like this.
Okay.
All good. All right. So, but am I in as a participant now? Oh, my God. Because I don't have the recording bit. Hang on. I might have to get out and go back in. Let me do that.
Sure. Okay, no worries.
Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm in. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, your background's up as well.
Yeah, it must have been the right where I need to be. But then there's me there.
I don't know why the second one's still there.
Yeah. Okay, let's just leave it. That's all right. Let's just go ahead. And
what time do you think we'll go till, Sharon?
Well, I was hoping to do an hour.
Because I really need to be out the door by 1 o'clock.
Okay. Yep. That's fine. We'll do that.
No worries. Schedule's a bit tight today.
That's okay. All right. All right, let's go. I just got to record. Send request. It's almost like I'm not the meeting host, though. Oh, God.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Participants, let's see. Oh, it says you're the host on our end.
Is it this one that's the host?
No, the other account is your host. You're still logged in twice, but one of them's the host and one's not the host.
Okay.
Your camera one is not the host, the one you're talking with the background.
Yeah.
But the other one without the background is the host.
Oh, my days.
You have to be logged on 2 devices, Sharon. That can't happen unless you're logged on 2
No,
separate devices.
I'm on one. This one. Let me go back to my Zoom and not maybe use that link and just go into join.
Through a web browser as well.
Let me see.
But if it's on one computer, it'll only open one Zoom.
Yeah, well, I am. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay.
I'll have a look.
But you can make yourself a co-host from the other account as well.
Okay. I'm the host now.
Gone.
I'm the host. I don't know what I did.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's your host and everything's working now.
Okay, thank the Lord. Let's go through this. Huh?
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we all? I really good. Thanks so much for being part of this really important conversation, especially in light of Men's Health Month this month, and also in the midst of celebrating International Men's Day. So I brought you here for this important conversation because I feel there is a need to bridge the gap for men in terms of their experience with women that they're sharing their lives with that are going through perimenopause and menopause. So it is quite important for men as well. And I feel men are being missed out a lot in this conversation, or even across the conventional setting, within health promotion, across social media, you name it. So I wanted to get the conversation going, and we have met before to talk about some of the core issues. But today is all about really bringing it all together and enabling us to have a bit more of an understanding and awareness of what's happening. And especially for me, from a woman's point of view as well, just to see exactly how we can support men and bridge those gaps. We do know, perimenopause and menopause is quite a transition for women, and women are faced with quite a change, in terms of the estrogen. So it's quite a substantial hormonal change for women and their identity. We know that women are leaving their jobs. We know that women are also ending relationships as well. So I just know also that men are going through their own experience with it too. And what I wanted to do is really gauge, your experience with it as well. So firstly, Jason Chan, I just wanted to ask you as well, just to first up today,
Sure.
do men actually understand menopause and what some of the common misconceptions and assumptions surrounding it are?
Oh yes, absolutely. So I've spoken to many of my work colleagues who are, husbands as well as fathers and grandfathers, and not just work colleagues but friends and family too. And yeah, it is something that they know only the basics, like they hear,
Yeah.
hot flushes, mood swings, things along that line. But what I did find, Sharon, what was interesting after joining many forums, I've joined many forums and Facebook groups as well, just to hear from the men's side and what they're going through and learn more about menopause and
Yeah.
perimenopause. In fact, I used to think it was called pre-menopause. I didn't even know it was called perimenopause until recently.
Yep.
Once I joined the groups and forums, so I had it wrong all this time myself.
Yeah.
So it is really interesting. From what I've seen, it feels like only 50% of men really know about perimenopause and menopause, and only a few of the things like hot flashes, mood swings, the energy, and sometimes sensitive and dryness. So they
Yes.
don't know a lot of things like about brain fog. I didn't even know about that. And frozen shoulders.
Yes.
That was really neat to me too. So it's quite interesting. But I do see there are many men who want to learn and understand to better support their partners, friends, and family.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess with your experience, do you sort of have any suggestions on ways that, men can be more educated, or how do you think men can understand exactly what it is? Because I know they don't really, like you said, the term perimenopause, you didn't even know that, thought it was premenopause. What do you think needs to be done, in the wider, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Sharon. So when I was doing my research, I did notice a lot of leading specialists and researchers in the menopause side of things. They always targeted women. They never spoke to the audience as men and women. So even educational videos that I was watching on YouTube I was really surprised that they were just only focusing on women, and they never said, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is what menopause is, or perimenopause. These are the things to look out for. These even treatments. I didn't even know HRT existed until one of my work colleagues told me it's the best thing ever. And I went, "What is HRT? I didn't know about that."
Yeah.
And my wife is going through perimenopause, and she's actually studying traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh, great.
So she's also telling me alternative ways as well, besides HRT, like using traditional Chinese medicine, apitherapy, which is using bees in a medicinal way. So there's quite a lot of treatments available, which I had no idea about.
Absolutely.
And one of my friends is also a nutrition, and she told me nutrition is a big part of it as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there's so many complementary medicines and alternative and holistic treatments in adjunction to, HRT and MHT. The old traditional HRT was, more synthetic hormone, whereas now we've been introduced to, bioidentical hormones. So women are having to learn about that as well, and they're still only becoming familiar with it themselves. And there's still that misconception that HRT is synthetic, but it can be a game changer. Not everybody can take it, though. That's the other thing. So it's not a one size fits all. So, normally for women who have had, have got a history of estrogen positive cancer, or they have liver clearance issues, or other predisposing gut factors, or an overwhelming nervous system and inflammatory response. There's layers of that. And that's why it's really important for women to seek a practitioner who can have a look at them and individualize their treatment protocol to see if they're actually going to benefit from that as well. Thanks for that, Jason.
Thank you.
And John Toomey, thank you so much for being on board today as well. My question for you is, when menopause feels personal, why can symptoms sometimes be perceived by partners as rejection, criticism, or emotional attack? And how can this contribute to communication breakdown within relationships?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sharon, and I think it's something that we could explore it in so many different directions. Number one is that we tend to be in a society where there's not a huge amount of personal responsibility running. We tend to get upset when things don't go our way, or blame people for things going wrong, or blame situations, and we get caught up in being reactive to our circumstance. But that's not a great way to live, because then in your life you're just in react all the time, which is very stressful. But we've only got to go back a few generations to when people lived a much simpler life, and patience was something that was just mandated by our circumstance and our existence. You had to wait for food to cook. You had to wait for the fish to bite. You had to be patient if you were hunting. You had to nurture your food crops. There was, everything just took time and people were patient. But we're in this hurry-up society where we're getting everything we want. And part of that is we want the people around us to behave in a certain way so that we can just stay in our own self-absorbed space.
Yeah.
But we're community individuals and we're connected. And see, I see menopause as an exciting time where men can reflect on how they're conducting themselves in the world. Do they want to be in a pinball machine that's reacting to every circumstance or pressure? Or do they want to stand back and be more of an observer and have more awareness of what's going on around them? And if men understand that when women are going through perimenopause and menopause, their moods are subjected to extremes where they can just feel so frustrated, so cantankerous, so irritable, that sometimes they lose control over what their vocal cords want, how they want to express things, and it can be a bit nasty. It can be harsh. But, you can walk into a room and you can say something really abusive to me. Now, in that moment, there's two things that happen. One is what you did, your action in being abusive. And the second part of it is how I choose to respond to that. I can either get upset and offended, or I can think to myself, wow, that's not like Sharon. Wonder what's going on for her, you know? And be a little bit more open to the possibility that things are not right. This is a challenge for men, because if more men were able to conduct themselves that way, we'd have less psychosocial risk in the workplace. So this is a bit of a path for humanity to wake up a little bit and grow up a little bit and be more present in our universe and be more perceptive to what's going on around us. And so for men, when they're coming home to a wife who is, you know, more like Godzilla than the beautiful woman that they married, it's not personal.
Yeah.
She's going through some struggle. And, you know, I don't know if any of you have had the challenge of a parent who's losing their mind. You've got to deal with that. You can't get upset with it or get impatient with it, because that's not going to fix it. You've got to shift yourself to be able to adapt to that situation. The really cool part about a woman going through menopause is she's going to come out the other side of it, and she's going to be ravishingly beautiful when she does, you know?
Yeah.
And so for the men, it's like, have some patience. Try to nurture the space. Do you need to run your wife a hot bath? Do you need to shout her a massage? Do you need to bring some more flowers home? Do you need to cook the meals for a little while? Just to, not because you're trying to manipulate her, but you're just trying to open up the space around her, because you've also got to be mindful of the fact that if she does say something savage to you and you react badly, she's not going to like herself later. She regrets doing that stuff, but she just doesn't have control in that moment. So this is the opportunity for the man to really stand up and be a warrior, be a bloody guardian in your home, you know, and have some common sense to realise this is not permanent. Your wife's just having an internal battle right now, and you can be bigger than being a petulant teenager who needs to react to everything that's going on.
Yeah, that's so true. John, because, like, you know, I hear what goes on in the workplace often. Do you think support needs to take place in workplaces, in every sector, for men to maybe provide them with a little bit more education, or some other sort of groups, or where they can chat with other blokes about it, and also get maybe some professional support there too, where they're whether they're talking to a leader about andropause and menopause, or what do you think some of the solutions are there for men who feel isolated and want to help, but they just can't, because they want to maybe throw off some ideas to somebody else as well?
Well, I don't know whether you know what the cost is to a corporation if a senior executive is going through a divorce. It's horrendous, because they're distressed, their attention's not on what they're meant to be doing. There's a lot of time get consumed. But it's the same thing down on the shop floor. If one guy's going through a divorce and he's trying to navigate his way through the drama of it, his mind's not on the job, but he's also talking to his mates around him, so their mind's sort of not on the job either. So those things have a negative impact on productivity right across the corporation. So it's a small cost for a company to invest in some education, to bring someone in to educate the workforce on what andropause is, what menopause is, what perimenopause is, what to look out for, how to respond, what you can do to help the situation. You know, it can be really cool. It only needs to be a 1 hour seminar plus some resources. And then as men start to navigate it, even if they're not noticing it coming, their mates will be able to say to them, hey, do you think your wife's going through menopause? You know, and get support that way, because, you know, groups of men are really good at supporting each other if they know what to do, if they know what's going on. They're really good at it.
Yeah, very true. Thanks for that, John. Jason Sherry, welcome, Jason.
Sure.
When women, the question for you is, when women are emotionally overwhelmed and exhausted during this phase of life, how can men best support them based on your own experiences and observations?
Look, I think a little bit similar to what John said. It's, sort of trying to, I guess, gauge the situation as much as possible, and then sort of sitting back, absorbing it all, and trying to sort of make the right decisions around supporting your partner, whether it be through, things around the house, the physical side of things as well, and trying to make sure that you make the environment as comfortable as possible for them. And also, too, I think, our own reaction as males has a significant effect on your partner as well, because, they know that, I guess, they know what they're going through, and they know that, it's definitely having an effect on you. So maybe, obviously things like just supporting them, but also letting them know that you're okay with it, and, and trying to sort of embrace it all and acknowledge the fact that it's a situation that you're both going through. So I guess that communication as much as possible and understanding generally I find helps us, as much as possible. It doesn't always work because, there's situations where, things can get pretty, nasty and pretty hard and all that sort of thing. And you go from being the best person in the world 1 minute to being a villain the next. So, we as guys have to adapt to that as well. But I think a lot of what John said earlier is prevalent in what goes on. And I think as guys, it's just about being as supportive and understanding and educating ourselves as much as possible to help understand the situation. And I think that's sort of the best way I've sort of found to navigate around it. It's not easy, because there are days where you yourself as a guy, are copping the brunt of it, and might go for a week, a month, longer. You know what I mean? And then it's just about sort of trying to understand that, you're there to support as much as possible. I guess that's pretty much it. But I I've got obviously my significant other, at the time was going through it. I've got a lot of female friends that are going through it at the moment, and everyone's story is a little bit different. But obviously most of it's very similar. And I think the other thing is too with guys, we talked about what forums are available for guys to, and I think one of the things is, for me, where I really understood, apart from my everyday life, that I was subjected to sort of seeing what's going on in my own personal world with a partner, but also to being involved in sport, and just being around a lot of guys my age who have obviously wives and partners that are going through that. And I think there's definitely a massive gap with lack of education, and, a lot of guys just don't understand it. And I think, sport is a wonderful platform to help guys understand it. In what way that takes place, I'm not really sure. But there's definitely opportunity there for a broader understanding of menopause and how men can deal with it as well and support their partners.
Being from that sporting arena or sporting side, do you feel sports here in Australia and even overseas can make some sort of contribution to helping males understand menopause, seeing that maybe there's obviously a cohort of men in that age group with women? I mean, over 50% of the population is going through menopause. So that's quite a huge population. So, of those men that are with those women, do you feel sport can help in some way to raise awareness? Because it's there, young people are very, I've got teenage boys and a 21-year-old, they love their sports, all their sports, and they're quite easily, manipulated by that. Do you feel if that awareness was raised within our sports industry, do you feel that would have an impact on how men would deal with it, so they wouldn't go through the relationships that have broken down because men haven't known any better on how to, manage a wife or partner going through menopause? Do you think that would have some impact?
look, absolutely, because one thing with sport is it carries, you've obviously got the athletes themselves who usually, let's talk about winter sports, we're talking about footy and soccer and so forth. Generally speaking, these guys are only a bit, they're playing at senior levels who are starting to get in those relationships. And yeah, look, their partners will probably go through it a little bit later in life, but generally speaking, if there's an education process, they're starting to get that nice and early before it actually happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Second to that is then you've got people who are involved in the sport, whether they be coaches or administrators,
Yeah.
who are also, they're the target basically who are dealing with it right now. So you're getting an audience that's both for them yet to happen and for those that are actually going through it. So if you're using sport as a platform, you're actually hitting such a broad audience that it's carrying a lot of weight. And guys, as John said earlier, when men get together and they can actually understand what's going on, usually they do support each other. And I've seen that through many things in sport, not just, anything to do with menopause, but many other things, whether it be divorces, whether someone's ill in the family, or many, many other things. So generally speaking, guys do help each other out when they get to a point where they're actually understanding what's actually going on and what needs to happen. But at the moment, the gap is not really understanding what's going on and not really understanding what needs to happen because of that. But sport has a huge, audience, and there's such great opportunity for any organisation to use sport as a platform to let people know about all of this. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I can see.
How that happens, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a great opportunity. Yeah.
Well, there would be quite a great impact as well. I mean, you look at, kids today following their athletes that they love, they're eating well, they're exercising. I mean, more than what the boys did when I was 17. I don't remember them investing in so much into their bodies and their health and their sport. Might have been the area I was in, I don't know. But, if we could educate younger men as well about what perimenopause and menopause is. I mean, my boys only know about it because their mum has been in this area for 20 years. So they've been used to the conversations, whereas not a lot of people know about it. And that leads me to ask you, Jason Chan, because you're very much part of social media and your role at the radio station that you work on as well. How do you think... how do you think social media and, that the broader broadcasting side of things can kind of change that male narrative around the humorous side of perimenopause and menopause? Because what I'm seeing, and I don't know if that's coming across your algorithms as well, is I'm seeing a lot of blokes, some are quite funny, but they're making a lot of jokes about what menopause is all about and what their wives are going through. And they're emulating, their wives and, talking about how their brain fog and their hot flushes, etc. How do you think we need to sort of look at social media and in your presence to make a change to that narrative?
Yeah, it's back to what you said earlier, Sharon. I think it needs to be more education around it because, I have come across that, memes and things like that.
Yeah.
Just short little skits where they're making fun of menopause, which I don't agree with, to be honest, Sharon.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to take a more compassionate and empathetic look at it. And, we can have people talk about it, and more men talk about it would be even better.
Yeah.
Because it is, I don't know. Every time I do see things posted from a male, it's not nice. It's just not nice. I really don't like that kind of postings. What I see currently, more awareness would be great.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're here to raise the awareness, aren't we? So to inform and educate. Whereas I feel the male role in this has been to make fun of it pretty much. And it gets shared around quite a lot. And maybe that wrong messaging can get misconstrued by the younger population too, who will eventually go through the same thing as well. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And that is one thing we didn't speak about today. It's about children.
Yeah.
I mean, men, yes, definitely, but even teenage children that may not understand what's happening with their mother, the mum may be, going through it, but they have no idea, and they may even
Yeah.
blame themselves. Oh, maybe I triggered mum to be, not happy today or something like that, but they don't
Yeah.
realise that she's going through the perimenopause, for example. So even children, somehow, if we can even reach the children, not just the man, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. So education maybe beginning in the school setting, they teach us, well, I mean, we were taught safe sex and reproduction, in high school. Now I think they're doing it in primary school, which they are now. Maybe looking at the transition too, and learning about what menopause is and how that is a transition in life. John, Toomey, I just wanted to ask you, how do you think menopause actually changes men as well? I'm not sure if I can hear. Just unmute yourself, John.
Beg your pardon, guys. I'm sorry for that.
No worries.
Um, I've been chatting to James Davis about this a bit in London. James runs an organisation called the Midlife Mentors and supporting men through that menopause change or the andropause change. And it might not be as significant physically, but there is a period where men start to move out of midlife into elderhood. And in many traditional cultures, that's celebrated. There's a transition point there, whereas in our culture, it's not recognised. We just go sort of screaming ahead, and all of a sudden find out one day, gee, I look old, Um, but but it is a real moment for men to stop and take a breath and pause and go, hang on a minute, where do I stand in life now? And especially if you're a grandparent, because your role changes. You shift from being a parent to being a mentor to your kids while they parent, and being this loving extra person in the lives of your grandkids. Um,
Yeah.
you were talking about sports clubs before, and I actually believe that we should take our eyes off the AFL clubs and the NRL clubs. They're busy. They can't do much. They're just busy. But community sports clubs are a whole different kettle of fish. They are becoming the churches of the 21st century, where people are gathering, and I believe that they can do a lot more to open their doors to gather a lot more people. And I've been saying to local footy clubs, for example, because I was very heavily involved in getting women's football off the ground. And, that's saved a lot of footy clubs, because now there's women and men in the clubs, and there's a lot more socialisation happening in the clubs.
Yeah.
But there's also lots of opportunities then for older men to educate younger men. And, I was doing a President's Lunch talk at Echuca Footy Club a couple of years ago, and it's amazing what they do. The club's very, very successful, and every senior player in the football club has a coaching duty in the junior ranks. And they've got older men around the club who are just mingling in and out, and they're being supportive, and they're helping the young guys to step up and grow up a little bit. Now, adding that some additional education, because they bring speakers in to speak, bringing that additional education in to support men to have greater understanding of their own transitions, as well as the transitions of their wives, that's bringing the education into a community level. And I think that, we've got to be mindful of the fact that things change, societies change, and elements in society change. For example, like our food has changed. I sat down and spoke with my mum when she was alive about menopause, and she said, I think I went through it. I don't know, maybe I did. I don't know, but her diet was very, very simple.
Yeah.
Veggies, meat, some rice occasionally, hardly any sugar,
Yeah.
She didn't drink much alcohol. And so, maybe a lot of the advanced and enhanced menopause symptoms are related to that as well. So where's that going to go in the future?
Yeah.
So we've got to keep educating and evolving. And the exciting part about all of this is that all of these things that stimulate challenges in society amongst families and communities and relationships is the stimulus for all of us to evolve. And part of evolving is looking at ways that we can get our communities to evolve. And I think supporting sports clubs is a huge part of this.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the sports club that I'd like to see in the future is also a sports club that has open mic nights for the kids in the community who are not into sport, but they're into music, you know.
Yeah.
So we bring everybody in, you know,
Yeah.
create space for everybody to be part of this community hub that's really happening. Because, yeah, we got rid of the corner pubs years ago by jacking up the price of beer and making it difficult, but these clubs are becoming the place where we can support and share information, and then the older men in the communities can start to recognise their time to step into more eldership and transition out of that place where, you know, they're in the middle age.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I think, look, you know, we all congregate. I mean, I've spent years in footy clubs and soccer clubs and sitting there and, you know, just watching. And I think, you know, having some additional, you know, there was always events, but having that additional sort of support there as well, I think it's important and vital. And you're right, you know, it's emerging as well. Anything else, Jason, Sherry? Did you want to sort of share a little bit about your journey? You know, just give us a little bit of, you know, sort of maybe how we can support men further from your experience above and beyond always sporting events. But I'm just being mindful of the time as well. Anything else that you wanted sort of to add to that, because you have had experience, you know, in a relationship that you're happy to sort of share your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think you know, I guess my own experience and my own challenges through my situation obviously gave me a better understanding of menopause and how it affects women, but also too how it affected me. And I guess just, you know, I think if we can reach out, you know, obviously the sporting club forum is one that is available to us and a great platform as we discussed now, you know, to get that. But also too, I think just reaching out to your mates. You know, I guess if you're 52 or 53, you know, most likely that most of your mates are around that age group. So just reaching out to them and seeing how they're going, and you know, that obviously you're speaking to them, they're speaking to you, you're sharing the load by discussing what's going on at home and how, you know, your wife or your partner is, and they're discussing about how their wife and their partner is, or whatever it may be. And I guess as guys, if we do that, you know, if we're reaching out to our friends, and it becomes a bit of a cycle, and that way, you know, we can support each other better, you know, and understand each other, because, as I said, you know, although...
Okay, we've dropped off.